Many years after Joseph, son of Jacob, was given the gift of reading dreams and put in control of all of Egypt, a new pharaoh had taken the throne of Egypt. But this pharaoh was not kind. He had made God's people, the Israelites, into his slaves. He forced them to work all day and treated them very badly. They were made to do heavy work and not given any respect. The other Egyptians were also unkind to the Israelites and made their difficult lives even worse. The Egyptians made them carry heavy rocks day and night and work in dangerous building sites. Many Israelites were injured, either by the work or by the cruelty of the Egyptian slave owners. The Israelites suffered greatly, and this was far from the glory that Joseph had brought to the Israelites in the land of Egypt. The Israelites worked hard and suffered under their slave masters. But as Egypt prospered, there was more and more work that the Egyptians needed the Israelites to do for them. Over time, the number of Israelites enslaved in Egypt grew and grew, until eventually their number became large enough that the pharaoh started to have second thoughts.
The number of Israelites continues to grow with every year. Soon they will be too many, and they may start to want power. This cannot happen.
The pharaoh became deeply scared that if the Israelites continued to grow in number, that they may try to seek some power and could even take over Egypt. He wanted to do whatever he could to make sure this did not happen.
Something must be done. I will make sure that the Israelites will never grow too powerful. I will rid the Israelites of all their young boys to make sure they cannot continue to grow in numbers.
And so, the pharaoh gave the terrible order that all the baby boys born to the Israelites must be thrown into the mighty river. The Israelites were heartbroken, as their beloved children were taken away from them. They could not believe the cruelty of the pharaoh had come this far. To ensure that his cruel plan could not possibly fail, the pharaoh instructed his servants that this must be done every time a new baby was born. Each and every one of them was to be thrown into the river. One day, an Israelite woman named Jochebed gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. She was terrified of the pharaoh's evil rule that all baby boys must be thrown into the river. She decided she would not let her precious son suffer the same fate as the other Israelite boys, and that she would do whatever it took to spare her precious baby's life. She decided not to take him to the river and to hide him instead. However, as time went on, she realized this plan could not last forever. After 3 months, she finally accepted that she could not keep her sweet baby hidden from the Egyptians. She thought long and hard about what to do to keep her son alive. After careful thought, she had an idea. Jochebed decided to fix her baby's basket to make sure no water could enter it. She put her precious baby inside the basket and secretly took him to the river. With great sadness, the baby's mother placed the basket into the river and watched as her son drifted away. Although it was painful, she hoped she had done the right thing, and that this would be enough to save her son's life. As the baby drifted down the river, his older sister Miriam followed his basket, watching closely to see what would happen to her baby brother. She wanted to make sure that he would be safe and that God would not let any harm come to him. As the baby drifted down the river Nile, the daughter of the Pharaoh happened to be getting ready to take a bath in the river's waters. Just as she was getting ready to bathe, she spotted something floating down the river and realized that it was a baby in a basket. Miriam secretly watched on as the princess ordered her servants to fetch the baby in the basket. The baby was crying, and the princess could not help but take pity on the poor young boy. She knew that this baby was one of the Israelite boys, and decided that she would save his life and would adopt him as her own son. The baby's sister, Miriam, could see that the princess was going to spare her brother, and approached her to share the truth. She told the princess that he was indeed one of the Israelites, and asked if it would be possible for the princess to have him raised by an Israelite nanny. The princess agreed and ordered for an Israelite woman to be brought to nurse her newly adopted son. Amazingly, when Miriam went with the Egyptians to the Israelites to look for a nurse for the princess's new baby boy, the woman they selected was Jochebed, the baby's true mother. Jochebed was brought to the royal palace to help raise the baby boy. The princess decided to call her new adopted son Moses and declared it to all of Egypt. The name Moses meant "he who was pulled from the water" in Hebrew, the language of the Israelites. It also sounded a lot like the Egyptian word for son, so nobody noticed the hidden meaning. The baby Moses had been spared from the Pharaoh's cruel plan to rid Egypt of all Hebrew baby boys. God had saved Moses' life and allowed him to be raised by his own mother as a prince of Egypt. Nobody knew it when he was pulled from the water as a baby, but Moses would go on to become one of the most important of God's people. Eventually, little baby Moses would grow up to be an important prophet and bring the word of God to his people. He would help the Israelites break free from slavery in Egypt and take them back to their homeland. God spared this little baby's life for an important reason, as he was to serve an important role in spreading God's message to all. God felt that Moses was so important that it was he who received the 10 Commandments and was charged with teaching God's wisdom to his people. Moses is one of the most important figures in the Bible, and just as he was saved by being pulled from the water, He would later go on to save the rest of the Israelites by leading them out of Egypt through the Red Sea.